Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation, Gauri Mahalla Pehla. Haumai Karat Bhekhi Nahin Janiya, Gurmukh Bhagat Virale Man Maniya. Haumai Karat Nahin Sach Paiye, Haumai Jaye Param Pad Paiye Rahau. Haumai Kari Rajye Bahut Aveh, Haumai Khapeh Janam Maryaveh. Haumai Nivare Gur Sabad Vichare, Chanchal Mat Tyage Panch Sangare. Antar Sach Sehaj Ghare Aveh, Rajan Jaan Param Gat Pave. Sach Karni Gur Param Chukave, Nirbhav ke Ghar Tali Lave. How kar marna kya pave, Pura gur pete so chagad chukave. Jeti hai teti keh nahi, Gurmukh gyan pete gun gahi. Haumai bandhan band bhavave, Nanak Ram Bhagat Sukh Pave. Haumai bandhan band bhavave, Nanak Ram Bhagat Sukh Pave. Guru Nanak here touches on Haumai, or ego consciousness, as commonly translated. We must bear in mind that Haumai is a broader concept than the ego, but the limitations of the language cause us to just refer to it as ego. So with that in mind, remember that Haumai is a broader complex than just the ego as we understand it in modern psychology. I would guide you to our website at www.coachgurbani.org, to the glossary there, for a more detailed treatment of Haumai. But suffice to say that in this passage, here in this verse, the first verse, is talking about conceit, self-pride, which is an attribute of Haumai. So the Guru is saying, Haumai Karat Bhekhi. Bhekhi is one who practices formalized ritual and ceremonials, the wearing of religious garb, the practice of certain rituals. So the Guru is saying, Haumai Karat Bhekhi Nahin Janiya. The Bhekhi simply succeeds in bloating the ego, but remains ignorant of true knowledge. Nahin Janiya. Gurmukh Bhagat Virale Man Maniya. Rare are the Gurmukh, that is to say, those who are guided by Guru wisdom, Gurmat. Rare are those who achieve self-realization, man-manya, through selfless devotion, bhagat. They are bhagats, they are engaged in bhakti, devotional love. So in Gurmat, bhakti is both the means as well as the realization that we have to come to. It is believed to have 9 components or elements. And in Gurbani, we come across these dimensions in various places. For instance, Sunaya is one element, listening. Kirtan, eulogy, is another. Simran, remembrance or recall of the self, is another. Seva, or service. Surrender, the notion of surrender, das. The Gurus have composed many hymns where they refer to themselves as das. This is a sense of surrender, servitude. Salutations, ades, to say ades. Also friendship, where the self is referred to as meet, and of course, dedication. So the teaching of Gurmat is that in bhakti, in unswerving devotion to the self, lies self-knowledge, and that leads to self-realization. So in the central passage here, in the Rahau, the Guru says, Haumai Karat Nahin Sach Paiye, Haumai Jaye Param Pad Paiye. So the truth about the self cannot be known by asserting the ego. The supreme state, perfected awareness, is possible only when the Haumai ego is absent. And we make it absent, we hold it back through Gur wisdom. Haumai kare rajye bahut aave, haumai khape janam meh aave, janam mare aave. So acting in Haumai, the Guru is just talking about governance. The governance that rulers are engaged in and the governance that everybody is engaged in. This is a toil. One has to persevere and be toil about doing things. And Haumai perpetuates itself through repeated incarnations. And how does it do that? The very idea of incarnations is a red flag for many who question whether there is reincarnation or not. That is an open question. People can come to their own conclusions. But here, Janam Mar Aveh has been translated as incarnation because the mind is incarnating itself every moment. So it is not just the fact of birth and death, it is that as well, but it is also this repeated incarnation. What does that mean? It means that the mind is here one moment, it's there the next moment. In one moment it's a friend, in the next moment it's an enemy. And so this circular kind of bind happens all the time. And that is what Haumai is. And so the Guru says, Haumai kar rajye bahut, Haumai khape janam mare aave. So this causes this circular motion, this binding. How does one get out of it? Nivre. What is the way out? Haumai nivre gur sabad vichare. Reflection on Gur wisdom prevents Haumai from asserting itself. Chanchal mati tyagya panch sangare. Here's the process. Through Gur wisdom, the mind learns to center itself and it learns to transmute the passions that we have into virtues. And what happens then when you begin to cultivate virtues, now virtues is the self expressing itself materially, so to speak, because the self is an essence. You are shaping it into virtues, you see, and that is the beginning of self-knowledge. Antar sach sahaj ghare aave. When that happens, the mind spontaneously becomes self-aware. And that is the supreme state. Rajan jaan paramagat pave. Rajan jane. When antar sach sahaj ghare aave, self-knowledge begins to grow. The mind recognizes its true nature as no different from the Rajan, the king of kings or the creator. Sach karani gur param chukave nirbhav ke khartari lave. So this is about true conduct that comes out of virtue. This is a virtue-based existence. Illusions are dispelled, virtue is created, and that creates true conduct. And then the Guru asks, how kar marna kya pave? What is there to be gained? Nothing is gained by acting in ego. As a matter of fact, acting in ego is death at every moment. We talked about incarnations. So there is a dying and a birth at every moment in the mind. And this is a reference to the thoughts that occur within us. They're ceaseless. It happens all the time. So the Guru says, how kar marna? Kya paave? Nothing is gained. Pura gur pete. So chagar chukave. Clear this pall. Chagar, quarrel, but it also means cloud. So the Guru is saying, clear the cloud of ego through Gur wisdom. There is a pall that clouds everything. Jeti hai teti keho nahi. Gurmukh gyan pet gun gahi. So he's talking, Jeti hai means all that exists is actually a fabrication of the mind. Jeti teti hai ke nahi. It's not real. Why? Because it's transient. It's fleeting. It comes about because the mind interacts with Prakriti, with nature, and creates this. There isn't any permanence to it, is the point that is being made here. So egoic existence is a fabrication of sorts. Fabrication because it is a conceptual existence. We create these concepts. So that's the fabrication. And again, Gurmukha Jnana Pete. Through Gur wisdom. Pete is to meet, to know, to understand Gunagahi. When you develop the virtue of self-knowledge. In conclusion, the Guru says, Haumai bandhana bandh bhavave. The fetter of Haumai. Bandhan, a rope, a fetter. Bandh bhavave, bandh, it imprisons the mind. Bhavave means to wander. So it imprisons the mind in a vicious cycle of wandering. The mind just keeps going in a cycle, in a circle, and can't free itself. And says Nanak, freedom comes through selfless devotion to the Supreme Self. Nanak Ram Bhagat Sukh Pave. What might it mean, devotion to the Supreme Self? The assumption here is that the Supreme Being exists in us in just the same way as a butterfly exists in a caterpillar, that is to say, as a potential. So devotion to the Supreme Self implies devotion to fulfilling one's potential. For those of you who wish to listen to the daily podcast, it is available on our website, www.coachgurbani.org. Until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.